So again, my name's Edgar Franks. I work for an organization in Bellingham, Washington, a farm worker organization. It's called Community to Community. I'm also kind of honored that I was picked to be also part of the National Move to Amend leadership team just a couple of weeks ago. So this is my first time actually speaking on behalf of Move to Amend and the national leadership team. So thank you all for inviting us and having us here and giving us time to talk about the importance of why we need grassroots movements, dynamic movements, as John was saying about dynamic movements, and this is the movement. Just a little bit background of where I come from. My family's from Mexico, farm workers. I'm the second person in my family to be born in the United States. We used to work in the fields in Texas, in the citrus and picking grapefruits, cotton, you name it, anything over there. And because of for survival, our survival brought us here to Northwest Washington, where we continued picking fruits. First asparagus in Eastern Washington in Pasco, and then moving on after that season was over to the Skagit Valley, where we picked strawberries, raspberries, cucumbers, cauliflower, eventually potatoes in the winter, and then moved back to Texas. And that cycle continued until I was 6 years old, when my mom, a single mom, was able to find steady work at the farm where we were working at as a secretary. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, and that's kind of why the fight for farm workers should also be represented when we start talking about movements such as this. Because most of the times when we talk about movements that are this powerful, we sometimes get lost, or some people don't get brought into the conversation. So I want to be sure that when I speak and I get the chance to speak, that I represent that voice of farm workers and people that have been marginalized sometimes within movements. Just to talk briefly about what Move to Amend does. I'm pretty sure everybody's sort of familiar with the organization, but just for those that don't, Move to Amend, it was formed in 2009, right before Citizens United was taken to the Supreme Court and the decision was made. That fight, I think, brought a lot of political consciousness to people that might not had the will, or weren't informed of how corporations were impacting our daily lives, from where to put gas, from where to go eat, from every decision that we make daily. Corporations have a big part in that. So Citizens United was one of the big reasons that Move to Amend started catching up steam. As of right now, we're not isolated right now. Mark was saying that right now they showed the map where like a lot of amendments and resolutions have been passed in over 500 different municipalities and local governments. So this is not a unique thing to here in Washington. It's a nationwide movement. So it's exciting. We're living in an exciting time, and we get to participate that. We get to be agents of that change that we want to see. Right now, Move to Amend has over 260,000 members active, fighting for this all over the country. And we, as Move to Amend here in Washington, and also part of the WAMEN group here, are taking part to join in the fight with our other allies and other brothers and sisters throughout the nation to make sure corporate personhood is ended through a constitutional amendment, and that money is not free speech. Just to give you also a little background about when we say that it's the only constitutional amendment that says specifically that corporations are not people, that only actual living, breathing human beings should have rights under the Constitution. Corporations are not people, like Mitt Romney would like to say. When we say that this amendment is not just for corporations, but it also includes, we're going to be fair here, we're going to say that nonprofits are not people and don't have the right to influence politics by contributing money. Unions, LLCs. So when we say people, we mean actual living people can only participate in our politics by voting. It's also saying that money is not a form of free speech, especially in political campaigns. It should not be protected under the First Amendment. Money should not be protected under the First Amendment as free speech. Kind of what I think brought us out to the streets a couple of weeks ago was that McCutcheon decision, where we're seeing again the deterioration of democracy just getting picked apart little by little by the court system. Even though we've got this big movement and we're bringing up momentum, we just start hitting with roadblocks with the U.S. Supreme Court right now, and the way it's currently being dominated by kind of a right-wing kind of extremist group there, obstructing what regular everyday people want to see, which is to take out money out of politics. And this is every single community where this call has been made to take money out of politics, to end corporate personhood, has voted overwhelmingly yes. This includes also not just traditional progressives and liberal states, but it also includes places like Mississippi in the heart of the South. Where I come from in Bellingham, we have a big Tea Party presence. Tea Party members are participating right now in the WAMen and the local WAMen group there that's collecting signatures because they also believe corporations are not people. So this movement is not just limited to progressive areas within the state or within the country. Another thing that I want to mention about Move to Amend and why I wanted to be involved in this, and I think I kind of told that a little bit, is because it's committed to be an anti-racist, anti-sexist, a feminist movement organization. Sometimes that also gets left out of social movements and big social movements like this. So we want to make sure all races, all religions, all genders are represented in this movement. Again, for me, at my point of view, I want to represent the Latino, farm worker, marginalized communities. We want to be here when this fight happens and this change happens. We want to be there too as part of this big coalition that's getting built. So we're also, when we say that, we're also talking about how building a deeper democratic movement where all walks of life are represented, and focusing on building an analysis with race, gender, and class. That is what drew me with Move to Amend, where we actually get to practice what we're preaching, making it, if you look at the national leadership team, it's actually representative of people from all over the United States, from different genders, different races. So we want to actually not only look that way, but we also want to be practicing what we want to say. So when we say that democracy is for everybody, we want to practice it because democracy has not always meant democracy to people of color, to indigenous people. So we want to actually practice that by building an anti-racist, anti-sexist movement. You had mentioned a little bit about the U.S. Social Forum, and the U.S. Move to Amend kind of got formed through the U.S. Social Forum and participatory democracy models that were created within the third world for community governance. So that's another way that how our community gets involved in politics, because where we come from, people have been disenfranchised, whether if they've been put through the criminal justice system, immigration status, you name it. People have been disenfranchised but still have an important voice to bring into this movement. We also can't forget about those people, the immigrants, the people that just because they lack documentation can't fully express their political views by voting, but they still have a big valuable key to building what a democracy looks like here in the United States. So we want to make sure that the U.S. Social Forum process, which is to build popular movements, and where movements intersect, whether it be labor, environmental, climate justice, environmental justice, those people are all put into one place where we can sit down all on equal terms, equal stakeholders, and start practicing and creating the world that we want to live in. And with that, I kind of want to wrap up and saying that I also like the word yes. In Spanish, it's called sí, and I want to leave you with a farm worker traditional chant that we have here. And because we believe in it so much, we don't accept failure at any point. We say sí se puede. Yes, we can.